Steven's got something with some palm trees there.
Sorry, I just jumping in now. I might have missed the question. Yeah, that's a background of a past life.
Yeah, I was just wondering what city you live in.
Oh, St. Petersburg, Florida.
St. Petersburg. Okay, St. Pete. Okay, cool.
I
You ever
grew up
been
in
to
Michigan, but
what was it?
I'm never moved back.
Yeah. You ever been to what is that? The guy's got like a fish and chips place over there. It's on the beach over there. It's pretty popular. But Ted Peters Fish Company.
Maybe after COVID, a lot of places have shut down, so I apologize for all the names and changes. So,
Okay. I think we got a couple more, and I promise we'll get started. I just wonder who I'm talking to. Sean, what about you? Where you at?
Hey Jeff, it's Sean with Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Mass. Shawnee's back. Okay. And then Dex.
Hey, Jeff, based in northern New Jersey, right outside of New York City.
New Jersey, not the Jersey Shore, but New Jersey.
Yep.
And I think, is that, no, I didn't get Lauren.
Hi, thanks. I am in a suburb of Dallas. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area,
There is
and
people.
but from Boston originally.
Cool.
And I'm similar to lots of other people, have been looking at different options, probably about 6 months now. And I come from commercial real estate.
Okay, cool. And then Marcus. Where are you from, Marcus? Did I get you already? No. Oh, wait, Marcus, Indy. Never mind. You got you. And then Saucel, Sucel,
Yes, so I'm from El Paso, Texas.
El Paso. I like it. Okay, cool. A lot of Texas people. Promise we'll get going here. And then Judith, what about you?
Hi, I'm from El Paso. My sister is Susel, so we're on this together. I'm in real estate. I do residential and commercial as well.
And Diego?
Hey, how are you? I am in Miami,
Miami.
and I'm in marketing with a sprinkle of real estate in the family.
I think that might be everybody. All right. It just helps me understand because we've got people certainly in all those markets. I think I got everybody. And just can give you some cross reference on some of the other people that we have. You know, like I know the guys down the Miami market. I know some people out in the Dallas metro markets. Obviously, I'm here in Scottsdale. So just want to try to, make it relevant for you, make a good investment of your time as well. Did I get everybody or somebody else that I miss? No? Okay. So, real quick, Corey mentioned, my journey. I had a 27-year career in software sales, selling to the global 2000, selling B2B software. And by all means was fairly successful with that and decided to step away from it. I wanted a career change. I had the good fortune of working for a whole bunch of different leading software packages, be it SAP or Workday or Coupa, if you know of any of those. And just got kind of burned out on it and ran into a franchise consultant. And she introduced me, Natalie Gold, introduced me to a bunch of different concepts. Gatsby Gold being one of them, or I'm sorry, Gatsby Glass being one of them. Sorry, I'm thinking Natalie Gold. Then she introduced me to a couple others as well. One was called Forever Young. It was a male and female hormone replacement clinic with some Botox, aesthetics, and stuff like that. And then there was another one called Game Day, which was males testosterone replacement therapy. Then another one called Rise Modern Wellness, which is kind of like alternative wellnesses. I originally was very, very interested in Gatsby Glass, but at the time when I lived in Colorado, that territory was already taken by a guy named Zach Spicer, who was really successful, and so is still successful. And so that one kind of fell by the wayside. And then my wife and I started talking. We're like, hey, what about going back down to Scottsdale? So where I went to school here, my kids go to school here, her whole family's all here. And we said, well, let's ask to see if that territory is available. And as luck would have it, it was. And so I had gone and done my financial research on Gatsby Glass. And when I found out that the Scottsdale territory was available, I knew that this is something I had to kind of move fairly quickly with, because if I wasn't going to get. So it was a decision that was fairly easy just after reviewing the FDD, knowing kind of what we are getting into, obviously from a financial and margin perspective. Then also understanding, what the overall Scottsdale market looks like in the kind of territory that I moved into. And make no mistake about it, I wanted to buy the whole valley. So I tried to buy every territory here because I know that there is a need for this in the Scottsdale area. So, Jenna and Mary, I wanted to buy it all. And so they wouldn't let me. They only sold me 5 territories. I'm still not happy about that. But nonetheless, it's actually, it's been very, very, very interesting. And so far as that, we didn't on purpose set out to break the first month record for revenues of all Gatsby Glass franchises, but that's what happened. We actually were 4x what my original business plan was in the first month, and probably going into my second month, and I'll talk about how it's broken down. I'm going to wind up being 5x that number as well. So there's a lot of demand out there, and I think it's true in every market. I have the good fortune of being able to understand how sales and marketing work. So we have a definite big emphasis on sales and marketing. Now, my biggest lessons learned are, the chaos you get thrown into definitely raises its head. And if you wind up being very, very busy, inefficiencies of your business pop up very quickly. And so we spent probably the 5th week just saying, okay, let's slow down. Let's go slow to go fast. And how now can we actually make a better process here? And so we were smart insofar as that we did a lot of preemptive advertising ahead of time. So we're in a magazine here called Phoenix Home and Garden. It's a high-end luxury magazine. We advertise in some other things, obviously Home Mag you've heard of. We advertise, of course, on Google and Bing and Angie's List. We, have some significant advertising as well. But believe it or not, Facebook and Instagram have been really, really, really big for us, which is really nuts. My daughter runs our website, and I get better hits on that are higher quality and bigger projects than we do kind of anything else, which I never thought was going to happen. But we have a multi-tenant approach. And so far, just being 100% straight, it's been all 100% inbound, and I literally cannot keep up. So I've had to hire a salesperson. I've got to hire another one. I'm hiring another installer. And how we're really going to grow this business to really be that next level and get to that next level is we're going to pivot. We're going to have an inbound salesperson, and then I'm going to have an outbound salesperson, because to really make this work, you have to spend time going to talk to, meeting with, the remodelers out there, the GCs of the world, other people that can influence the decisions for you, because we're really the last portion of a home remodel. We're not the first, we're the last portion of it. So we get brought in late, and people are like, I need glass, I need it now, and I need it today, because they want to get the bathrooms done, right? And it's like, I understand, but you can only, you can't cook a turkey at 500 degrees and expect it to get done in half the time. So we're trying to get better proactivity on doing that. The other thing that we did is we made a point of saying we're not going to walk away from anything the first month. We may not get everything, but we're going to go meet everybody. And anybody that's expressing interest in us and raising our hand, we're going to go meet to them. Well, let me tell you what happened with that. So we got called in for somebody that's got a busted window in their front door. And out here, and just like kind of probably Miami and other places, they have these big wrought iron doors with dual pane glass. And she thought she could just replace the pane. And we went out there and said, sorry, I can't do that. You got to replace the whole unit. And she couldn't believe it, but just told her that's the way it works. And unfortunately, she had to. And I said, well, we're here. It looks like you're doing some remodeling. Can we take a look at your bathroom? And she's like, sure. So now I've got a master suite we're putting glass in, and I've also got a framed mirror that we're doing. That was based on a broken window. I got another one where there was a teeny little panel this guy wanted to do, and his nephew was living in his house he was renting, and it was just a dumb little panel. It was like a 84-inch high and like 24-inch wide shower panel. It was nothing. I wound up charging like $600. Well, what I didn't know is his uncle owns one of the largest architecture firms here in the Valley. And so he's bringing me into his commercial work, and he's bringing me into a whole bunch of other projects. On top of that, he wants me to remodel and put glass in his own office. So those little things just really matter. We also went out and met with all of our glass representatives. So Hartung, Trulight, Oldcastle, met all those people, and you've got dedicated salespeople at every one of those places. And we got brought into a hotel remodel job, because the people who were in this hotel in this remodel completely screwed up all the showers, and the GC got fired, and the second GC didn't know what to do with all these showers, and so that's 130 showers, which I haven't even put into the books yet, that we're going to be getting, and they all got to be ripped and replaced. And that was because we met with, our own salespeople and we got brought in, and they also needed some help on some commercial work there. So we just took every opportunity to make sure that everybody that expressed interest and rose their hand, we wanted to treat it like it was a completely like unique, special moment, because you just never know where that's going to lead to. And that has been a strategy that really has worked well for us. Now, I should also say that I purposefully didn't price our solutions out at the normal 40 to 50% margins. I wanted positive reviews, and I went and told everybody that, look, we're a brand new business here in the Valley. We're starting up. We're part of a national franchise, 40 other locations. We're well recognized. We're disrupting the industry, all the things that you want to say. And said, I'm going to, make sure that not only do you get, an unbreakable kind of follow-up and service guarantee, which we're going to abide by, but I'm going to be really aggressive on the pricing. So the money I made, and I did in the very first month, that should have been almost double what it was. And that's because we purposely went in with really, really small margins. So we're slowly eking our margins up. We're trying to figure out that equilibrium where we're just high enough where it's just a little bit painful, but not too cheap where, we're giving things away. And so we're trying to figure out that equilibrium point. It's so far, everybody's accepted numbers that we've put in front of them. By the way, you also hear in some of the stuff around, when you go through training or go through academy and stuff, they're like, well, get a 50% deposit. No, everybody will give you 75, 80, if not 100% up front. And how you position that is, hey, your glass is unique for you. It is unique to this space. There is going to be nobody else in the Valley that's going to need a 36.5-inch wide, 88.25-inch tall panel that's got to be cut out a certain way because your walls are out of square. Literally nobody. So they know that it is unique for them. And so asking for all of the deposits up front stuff in order to get things going is proven to be correct. I actually learned that from somebody who owns a budget blinds franchise here. And, we are started to do that, and actually did 75% from the get-go, and not a single person said no, not a one. And so I would definitely not listen to corporate on that one. I would say you should get 75% of what your proposal says. And not only does that pay for your cost, but just in case something happens to go screwy, or if your estimated hours on your installs get kind of a little wonky, then it can help pay for that. So before we open it for some questions on the lessons learned, it was funny. My father-in-law asked me this on Saturday when I was up at his house washing my company vehicle and the van and stuff. He's like, did it go like you thought it was going to be, And I'm like, well, it's a little bit more hair on fire than I would have liked, but the hair on fire is good. So we're putting in a lot of hours here. But what's been amazing to me is all these glass companies are completely screwed up. And so it's nuts. They literally will send you the wrong hardware. They'll send you the wrong measured panels. And I don't know who's manning these places, but it's just like there's an extra step of management you got to do when you receive glass in to make sure it's correct. I had, and I might even be able to bring it up, but I had one panel that had to get made 8 times because it was screwed up. Now it was a big panel, right? I mean, it was a 400-pound piece of glass, but still 8 times, and they finally got it right. And so it just was, it's a bit lunacy here with companies not providing the right hardware. They'll send you 4 beveled edge clamps. They send one that's like a square edge. They send you a handle that doesn't match the other stuff. And it's just like there's no quality control on their side. So that's been like the biggest shock to me, is how poorly run these other companies are. So that's been kind of my journey. The good news about Gatsby Glass, they'll also advertise for you. They'll do commercial work. They'll do, we can do other things. I got brought into a really cool project in a really nice area here in the Valley called Arcadia. And they want 340 windows put into a house. Nobody else is willing to touch it. Here's the catch. They're all 10 by 6 inches. So the good news is I got really good glazers. That's what the installers are called. And they're looking at this project, taking it very, very seriously. And they're like, yeah, we'll take this project on. And then now when I show up to go do some additional measurements or talk to them, whatever, they're calling us their glass savior. So it's really remarkable how frankly lazy everybody else is and not willing to go do the extra thing. So I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to drink a Diet Coke because I was literally running in from 2 other measures this afternoon, and see what questions you might have. I want to answer those questions, and then we'll see what happens here.
Jeff, you just mentioned the quality of your employees and how essentially their background knowledge is really helping you be successful. Where did you find them?
Believe it or not, Craigslist.
Okay. Did you I'm not too familiar with sourcing employees off of Craigslist. Like, do you just post a job description? Like, what did that journey look like?
So I did. So that's what's good news. I don't know how much everybody's spent time with Horsepower Brands, but they actually have a whole recruiting arm for you.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll actually find, I'm still getting some salespeople coming in my way and stuff. They'll find possible candidates for you. And so they found some. And I went to one of them and I extended that person an offer, but then it was just a typical hassle with all kinds of craziness about, just not following up and he's not available. And they just like all the things you expect out of, kind of hourly workers. And then I wound up taking a backup person, and that wound up being like the right strategy. A guy named Bobby. He actually happens to have been in the business for 18 years, done more showers and installations than anybody else in the Valley. So he's done over 10,000 installs. So he really knows his stuff, and it's great because he shows up and he's like a cat in a ball of yarn with these homeowners, telling them how they're wrong and why it's not a good idea what they want to do. And they sit there and look at him and like, yeah, the guy's right. Why didn't we think of that? And so it's been really good. And then there's also a couple of other companies here that allow us, Jenna, that they've got kind of some subcontractors where I tap into that pool as well. So like for this hotel job where they want 130 showers reglazed, reinstalled, that's going to tie up 4 resources for a better part of, a week. And so I'm able to expand and contract as that, kind of comes and goes. And those guys are aces as well. So, I mean, that's, believe it or not, Craigslist, like I said, ZeroRecruit will also provide those people as well. And they've provided me, other people as well, some salespeople and stuff. So it's been good.
What type of margin are you getting on the large 130 hotel build out or quote there?
So that's a good question. I'm not going to be short-sighted on this one. That one's going to be about a 60% margin because we know they're desperate and they know we're the only ones who can solve this. There's attorneys involved. There's, one of my installers is being called as an expert witness saying, wow, the things are all screwed up. And so it's been good. But the reason we're doing this one, even participating in it, is the woman that is building or remodeling this hotel. She does this for Marriott Properties, and she's got 4 other hotels she wants to give us, all that have got 130 to 300 rooms. So we're doing this one. We're kind of standing at attention for this one.
What would you say is your regular margin if it's like, your average size deal? And what's the average ticket size? I should have asked that first.
So, Jenna, good question. So we've kind of broken down my territory, and I don't know if Corey's shared with you, and this is too much for everybody to know, but the Phoenix Valley market is like a clock, and I essentially have from 12 to 3 on the Phoenix Valley area. And I've broken down my territory into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 kind of margin areas. So in my area where the most wealthy areas are, those are all tier 3. So of course they can handle, and they're expected to pay a little bit more. It's almost like they know there's a premium tax, and those were going in at around 50 to 55. And then in tier 2s, it's around it's 40 to 45, and then it's 30 to 35 on the tier 1s. And some of those, especially if it's like just meat and potato stuff, it's straightforward, not a lot of issues. We know we can get in, get out, do it in an hour. We'll provide a better discount there than we would, or a better margin for them. Worse for us just because it's going to take me less time to do them.
You said you're pretty much 100% inbound right now for your leads. What would you say the share is consumers contacting you directly versus
I should emphasize a little bit. The one is a home builder that asked us for the 340 windows. So that was So I was 100% straight with you. It was still inbound, but that one wasn't a consumer. There's 3 that were not consumers. And those are all turning into be much better projects and bigger projects as well. But
the majority is literally just homeowners finding you wanting
correct.
shower doors and things like that.
Correct. Wine cellars, shower doors, office partitions, all the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also not fully relevant probably for everyone on this call, but I know there are a few states that require this, Arizona being one of them. I know you need the GC license for Glacier in Arizona.
There's ways around it.
well, we were going to ask how you were handling that.
So for Miami and Florida, you've got the same challenges that Arizona has. You have to have something called a qualifying party who's part of your company. You just check your local state and regs. I found ways around it, and Mary and Jen, if you guys go forward with Gatsby Glass, let's spend some time afterwards how to get around all that. But needless to say, you've got to go through extra hoops. Now in Texas, they're like, whatever, Yosemite Sam, come on in, let's go. You can install glass wherever you want. Who cares? So just check with your local state. I'm sure Jersey's got some restrictions around it too.
Good to know.
Hey, Jeff, I had a quick question for you.
Yep.
Do you sign general contractors subcontracts when they send them over? And also, do you agree to pay when paid as a stipulation?
No, I don't, because I have to order glass that's unique to that spot, and I will not order glass unless I'm getting paid.
So you don't generally sign a GC's contract?
I'll go under a GC's contract if they've got it with a homeowner. Like I've got one where they brought us in to do 4 showers. And the pricing's all going through them, but I gave him what our pricing is. That was a sweet deal. That was like a 60% margin, and he just passes it along to the homeowner. But I will not order glass unless I have funds in hand.
All right. And last question: what waste factor do you figure on all your jobs? Do you have individual waste factor? Or how does your insurance cover for breakage and things like that?
Insurance doesn't cover breakage for sure because somebody drops a panel of glass. That's kind of your fault. It's not insurance, so we don't claim anything on insurance.
Self-insurance was sort of the joke there, but yeah. How do you handle breakage?
That is something you got to be smart about. I just found out I had one mismeasure that was 2 weeks ago, and we had to get that door remade. And then I've got another one that went into Paradise Valley, which was a mistake by the fabricator. So a fabricator will remake it. Same thing with that one panel got made 8 times. If you do a really good job and you're measuring and you're really clear, and how that process works is you turn these orders into them. They confirm back to you exactly what it is. You sign off on it and you look at it and determine it's correct. Well, then that's on them if they screw it up. Then if you wind up making a bad measure, or this one, oh my God, this poor guy, I can't believe he actually wrote us a positive review. His shower was literally remade like 4 times. There was the panels weren't Starfire or low iron glass. They were clear. They put these bunny ears or the cutouts for the hinges in the wrong spot. They shipped him 3/8 versus half. They gave him the wrong hardware. It was like a comedy of errors more than anything else. And we actually became pretty funny about, how awful it was. And so that was all on the glass provider for messing all that stuff up. At the same time, my installer, the one of 18 years, forgot to measure the floor and see if there's any bows in it. And that was one of the panels I had to repurchase and remake. And, my installer feels really bad about that, but it's just unfortunately the cost of doing business. And so you got to account for that just as you're going along, because you still got fixed costs, right? You got rent, you got utilities, you got, insurance, you got gas, you got all that stuff. And so you have to have a certain portion of your operating costs attached to breakage or
so do you manage the shop drawing process?
I did in the beginning and still do a tad, only because I wanted to understand that process. I wanted to make sure I was fully engaged in this business. I know some people want to go into a franchise being an absentee owner. I will tell you at Gatsby, I don't know how you're going to do that, at least to start for the first 6 months. I just don't know how you're going to do it because there's a lot to know and there's a lot of moving parts here. But after that, I can see if you get the systems in place, you can be an absentee owner. But my personal opinion is, I mean, I'm working 6:15 in the morning to about 11 o'clock at night, just making sure I understand everything about this business. Because if I'm going to run this business, I want to know where I got to make the dial turns and make it better. And so after 5 weeks, I've got the ordering process down. I'm going to turn that over to my installation teams because they know what they're doing. They know how to do the drawings. There's several different software packages also that allow you to kind of do it, automatically. So we're turning those things over to them, but I wanted to do it to start with because I wanted to understand the process.
Are you considering doing commercial work at all or
1,000%. And my business model was supposed to be 7/8 for the first 12 months was going to be residential. Then going into next year was going to be about 30%. But then by year 3, it's going to be more than 50-50 on commercial and residential. I happen to be really, really lucky. My sister-in-law sits on the Arizona Economic Development Council. So she knows about stuff before it even hits the permit books. So there's things coming in this valley that are crazy in the next 2-3 years. And so I am going to absolutely be focusing on commercial, less margin, but more revenue. So.
And you'll need a different type of skill set for that installer, correct?
That what they tell you is absolutely true. Residential generally doesn't do commercial. Commercial generally doesn't do residential. They can overlap a little bit, but they both have different areas of expertise, and it's 1,000% accurate. So I've got also a commercial guy on my staff.
Okay.
What else?
What were some of those maybe surprises that you didn't see coming? It sounds like you've done a lot of research, but I think even despite the most research anybody does, there's a couple lessons learned or maybe blind spots.
Definitely the biggest one, like I said, is the glass providers are like they don't have very good quality control. I mean, it was crazy to me. And I would recommend to everybody. It's really helpful if you go and actually do plant tours of your local fabricators and your temperers, because it's fairly fascinating once you see that. I also made a point of really understanding kind of like the history of glass and how glass actually is made. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows this on the call, but did you know an anneal glass plant or a primary manufacturing plant, that plant's a mile long and it's about 500 yards wide. And so it's pretty amazing just learning that process. And it comes out literally as melted sand and some other things. And it gets poured on liquid tin to cool. So I just wanted to learn it all from the beginning. And then that glass gets shipped to these plants. They're the ones that get it, cut it, cut holes in it. They temper it. And I would advise you to go make those relationships because they're going to screw up. And if you've got that relationship, it makes it a lot easier when you say, hey, you got to remake this IGU, which is a double paned insulated glass unit. It's like think of a windshield, or a window, not a windshield, but a window. And so I think how much they screw up was a lesson learned. Some of the stuff, and I would check your local market. You might hear about, some people at corporate talking about our relationship with FHC, which is a hardware, provider, hinges, handles, pivots, all that stuff. Well, they operate out of a centralized model. So you're constantly paying overnight charges. So we've pivoted almost 100% back to a local provider. There's a couple here in the Valley. CRL has got a local presence, and also another one called SRS is another one. And so we're pivoting away from FHC because the overnight charges are just ridiculous. And you need long sticks. Let's say you need something that's 120 inches long to ship that without it breaking. Like we just got done doing a mirror for that same hotel. The length of the mirror was 243 inches long. And so I needed very specific hardware for that. And so to get that shipped from FHC was like a mess. And so we were pivoting to all local supply.
Jeff, can you hear me?
I can, Judith. What's going on?
How many estimates do you have right now per week, and how many are you closing?
So you're not going to believe when I tell you this. We don't accept no for an answer. We close everything. I've got one that I haven't followed back up on because I really don't want their business. It's going to be a tough job, and it's not worth the squeeze. But we make a point of I would rather make 30% on something than 100% of nothing. And so we will go do that. And so we're committed to making sure we're doing that. And just part of that is because I want to make sure we're getting processes down. I want to make sure that we're understanding these things. Because you're going to learn an awful lot the more you get in, and you're going to learn where all your failure points are. And so I did that on purpose to understand where we got to, where we need to improve. How many estimates are we getting in a week? I mean, I had 4 today. I was running from one. I still got my sales guy and my measuring guy out on still 2. They got the last one like 5 o'clock today. Tomorrow we got another 2. Thursday we don't have any because we're preparing for our grand opening. We're having a big grand opening party. Jenna, Mary, if you want to come up for it, you're more than welcome to. We're up here in North Scottsdale.
I think we'd love to, actually.
More than welcome to. And so we I'm doing, but again, just remember we're listed also as having mirrors, kind of glass panes, broken glass, all that stuff. And if they're close, especially, we want to go see them. So we're averaging probably 10 to 12 measures a week. I call them measures just because we're actually bringing out a tape measure and they're like, yeah, I want to do something with you. And that's all just inbound. And some of those are multiple, like 2, 3, 4, 5 showers, whatever.
How many employees do you have?
I got a grand total of, should I count my daughter who's volunteering on our social media? You pay your tuition, you get some love back, right? And then I've got 1 salesperson, which I made the mistake of not hiring sooner. I've got my wife as my kind of quote unquote general manager. If she can hear me, I'm going to fire you. No, she has been there to help me with a lot of the HR stuff and, all that stuff and setting accounts up and everything else. And then I've got 2.5 installers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we are going to need another salesperson. I need another office person. And then I'm going to need probably another 2 installers.
Okay. And you have 5 territories, right?
I do.
You said 5? Okay.
I do.
Jeff, with you doing 5 territories and obviously hitting the ground running and getting out and realizing you need more staff quickly. What size space did you get in, or do you think it's going to be enough for this quick ramp?
So I went a little overboard, but I did it for a couple of reasons. One, where I live, there wasn't a lot of warehouse space available. So we've got an office area. I've got my own office. My wife's got hers out there, and I got kind of a general area where can I put another, 2 desks. But my warehouse is like 2,900 square feet, which is probably more than what you need. But we've got it mapped out so we can actually take on more commercial work and then handle the residential stuff that's coming. So I did it on the belief that the business is going to be here. And, I park my vans inside every night. My van, I should say, I got one. I got my sales vehicle, which is actually a 4Runner. But as I get more vans, I want to put them inside also, just because they're loaded with tools, and I don't want them ever getting broken into.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at 4 or 5T as well. So just trying to be able to not.
Just in full disclosure, I did my research with a bunch of people that owned a bunch of other franchises, including Orange Theories and some other ones, garage floor coating companies and stuff. And they all said the exact same thing. Buy as much as you can if you believe in it, because you're going to regret if somebody comes in next to you and scoops up a couple of territories that you wish you would have had, but were just a little bit of afraid. And so I understand it. Not everybody's got unlimited money. I'm totally sensitive to that. But I honestly wanted to buy the entire metro area.
Jeff, to that point, what did you look or figure out that there was a big need in glass, or was there a big need in someone doing glass correctly?
Yeah, so good point, Diego. And it's kind of the classic case I told you to do, right? So we did our own research. I mean, I went and I got friends and I got other family members here. So they went and did all the usual, hey, I need to have a shower, or I need to have a wine cellar or a wine vault. I needed the office, and had them call a bunch of people, wanted to understand what the experience was, wanted to understand what the pricing was, how did they get back to them, how did they follow up with them, what did they do, all that stuff. And everything they're telling you, it's like Corey's telling you, is true. It's very fragmented. It's people driving around in white trucks with A-frames in the back, and they don't have any concept of technology. They don't have any concept really of following up. They don't have any concept of, constantly checking in, over communicating, and some of the software systems will do that for you. They don't have any concept of really being, a disruptor in the home services industry. Now, if anybody's had a really good experience with somebody in home services, I'll bet you they had a couple of things that in common. They followed up with you. They didn't smell when they came in the room. They didn't show up in some crappy vehicle where you're wondering if they're going to take your money and run. They weren't professional, and all that stuff. Those are all like things are bad, right? All things are good, or people were like, they were there, they did what they said, they got you stuff that you needed right away. They were responsive. The exact opposite of like the stereotypical stuff. And in glass right now, what I've seen, it's the stereotypical stuff where it's just like, it's funny because we're driving down the road and we're going by some of the glass companies. I purposefully slow down and kind of try to merge in their lane, and just to give them a little shot, let them know that there's somebody else in town here, and their all faces all go like this. And then all of a sudden cameras, every one of them. And so the van comes up, even when he goes, picks up glass, when we do will call, everybody's like, dude, what's the story with your Gatsby glass? It's so cool, this, that, and the other. And they're showing up with the white Ford truck from 20 years ago that's got scratches and dents on it. And so it matters. It's a perception thing. It's an image thing. And just like any other successful home service, that you received, the ones that were the best, I guarantee were the most professional and best dressed and most accurate with their quotes and most straightforward. And this is an industry that doesn't have any of that. Except now.
So in your experience, it was mostly about not the quantity, but the quality, right?
Correct.
Okay, makes sense.
And everybody's starving for professional people to show up and do this. I mean, they're not looking for somebody who grew up as a glazer and is trying to figure out how to make a go of it. I mean, I know that the people at Horsepower, and especially what Corey's trying to do, he's trying to bring in like smart business people that can run a business. You don't have to know everything about glass. It's easy to learn. And if you can read a tape measure, and kind of visualize things, it's easy. The hardest part really is maybe understanding a little bit of the lingo, but it goes really, really quick. And it's just going out there and actually executing. That's really it. And it's no different than any other business.
Have you ever had? Oh, sorry.
Go.
Sorry. Have you ever had to get like extra help as far as like transporting the merchandise to the job site? Like let's say like you have like a big project and it doesn't fit in you have a van and a truck, right?
Yeah. So if you got a big project, you got a lot of stuff that needs to be delivered. The people are getting supply from, be it glass or even what they call either break metal or frame, they'll deliver to the job site for you. So,
so you can do
deliver
that
to you, or you can deliver it out there for sure.
Oh, okay. That was my issue because I was like, what if I have like this hotel? Because I'm leaning towards, I mean, of course, residential, but I really want to do commercial. So I'm like, what do you do if you have this medical office building and I need to I have all of this product that I need to transport.
Yeah, they're set up where they'll actually deliver it out to your facility, and they actually store it on A-frames for you out at the facilities, and they'll take the A-frames when they're done, but they'll bring it all out to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? We share a similar background. I work for Computer Associates, and back in the day. So another company, Syncom, selling software B2B. So I get that life. Unlike you, though, I did buy game day. I could only buy in Cleveland. There were 3 territories left, but that sold out so quick. So Gatsby, you say you're kind of pricing just to get all the business, and I get that. Go to market strategy, get some reviews, get known, and that kind of stuff. Where do you need to be at like a break even? Have you kind of figured that out? Like what margin you need for a break even at this point?
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, it's like 31%. It's pretty easy.
31% breaks you even, and then you're good after that. Huh? Yeah.
And that might even
Okay.
be a little bit lower than that. You know, it might even might be closer to 28.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty easy.
And then one other question: how do the territories work in the sense that you have the territory, but let's say these ladies come in, you know, and they're doing business in your area. Is it where the job is the territory, or is it where like you work with a home builder, and if the home builder's office is there, you get all the stuff from that home builder, or is it where the job is?
You know, I mean, I'll let Corey speak to that, and you can speak to that during your going through validation, but it really is, it's kind of a blend of both. I mean, it really is.
Okay.
So, you know, generally we're all here to try to win. Certainly, you know, maybe there's revenue sharing and splitting and stuff that can be done. Cause like if I've got a home builder in Arcadia, you know, and they're building houses here and they happen to pick up one, you know, and are doing a custom build, let's say in Queen Creek or down in Chandler.
Right.
One, I would want, you know, Mary and Jenna to know about that and probably do some sort of reciprocal rev share or something. So that's things where you try to, you know, play nice with your other franchisees. There's plenty of business in most of these markets, including the ATL. So we're in Cincinnati, even though that chili's terrible, at Skyline's awful. There's plenty of business that's.
Wait, what?
Did you like why I slipped that in? It was just like a slide.
Yeah.
I just slid it in.
Yeah.
There's, you know, it's like anything else, and that is, if you go and just concentrate on doing what's right, it never gets old. And so, you know, if
Right.
you go and say, hey, I've got this, I'm going to be down in Mesa, or in your case, you're going to be down in Akron or wherever you're going to be.
Yeah.
It's maybe not your official territory, and you over communicate. It's just the best way.
Right. Got it. Okay. Cool.
Hey,
Jeff,
Jeff.
I have a question for you. Oh, sorry, Sean. Can you like walk me through like the day in the life of your salesperson? Like, what does a typical day look like?
So, yeah, it's, you know, there's the salespeople. It helps if they have an understanding of how a tape measure works. I will tell you that first and foremost. There's been some other franchises that had salespeople that didn't understand how to read a tape measure, and it was like excruciatingly difficult for them to learn this business. So if you find a salesperson that's used to handling tools and understands levels and understands tape measures, and I know it all sounds ridiculous, but it's really the truth. Your ability to be successful is so much greater. My sales guy's been here 2.5 weeks now. Again, wish I would have hired him much sooner. We got him finally through all the academy stuff and got him all trained up, and he's been on pretty much every sales call with me, but now he's out doing his own, and he's going to be focusing in on B2B. So we're focusing in on going to home builders. We're focusing in on going to architects. We're focusing in on going to GCs. So our campaigns are going to be around that to go drive those additional sales. Then any inbound things, you know, we're going to be able to have him go out and handle those things, right? Speak to the differences in glass type, glass sizes, you know, widths, all that stuff, different hinge styles, pivot styles. So he's up to speed on all that stuff. So I'm going to have two different salespeople, one who's dealing with inbound and somebody's dealing with outbound. And there are two skill sets. And, you know, we're going to pivot him because he's better suited for outbound as I bring on another person that's going to be handling inbound. I don't know if that helps, Lauren, if it answers your question.
That was great. Thank you.
I was actually that was part of my question, Jeff. I was just curious to know, during your business hours, as you were start opening up, where was the majority of focus on the sales? And then second question is, with your sales guy, because you don't take no for an answer, which I love. Are you, if your sales guy comes back and says, listen, they're kind of on the fence, are you the one who's following up and as far as making the second call with that customer to get a real idea of why they're saying no?
Well, to start with, of course, Sean, I mean, we're trying to get data here, right? Like there's this one woman, her name's Holly, and Holly, you know, we went through it and, you know, talked to her stuff, this, that, the other, and she's like, I don't know, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was letting my sales guy run with it. And then I just finally got her back on the phone. I'm like, Holly, what's going on? Like, you know, we think, you know, we've got the right solution for you. You know, I know there's plenty of other companies that are out there that can do this. And she's like, well, I've actually got two of the condos that both have 2 bathrooms and need to have those things replaced as well. And I'm just looking at the price of yours versus having 4 more projects. Again, this is the case where you never want anybody to go. and they happen to be actually really close. They're up here on Scottsdale and Acoma Boulevard. And so knowing that, you know, she didn't tell me that before, but now that I know that, yeah, of course I'm going to discount it some and say I want to be the one as the first right of refusal on those other remodels that she got. So that one shower door, which I'm giving up, you know, some margin on, I'm making up for by getting, you know, 4 other projects in a place that's 10 minutes from my office. So yeah, I always want to try to figure out, is there something you can do better? Like there's one that was running in hot from, it's a builder moving in town from Colorado Springs, and he's building a showcase home. So he wants literally everything in it you can possibly imagine, including stuff called smart glass, which is very expensive. And he's going to be building all up in North Scottsdale. So I'm going to give up a little margin there, knowing that I'm going to get these other high-end homes that he's going to be building. His home's going to be starting like at 6.5 million. So you got to figure out how to turn those dials on figuring out what is the right thing to do with follow-up.
Gotcha. And then one quick question. How many jobs have you actually yourself measured?
By the way, all of my jobs I've measured so far are 100% accurate.
Dang it, that was my second question.
Yeah. And it's only been 5. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
But there hasn't been any reglazing done. What else? Any other questions?
I have a question maybe as a follow-up too. Talking about your putting in long hours to understand and really know the business. Do you have a 2 to 5 year plan? And then what does your day-to-day look like versus now working those long hours in 2 to 5 years? Because you were saying it's maybe hard to start as an absentee. I don't plan on doing that. I do want a general manager. I'm like you. I want to know everything that's going on, so I have a deep understanding of. I love the way that you handle sales, but just curious, what does your 2 to 5 year projection looks like, and then what does your day look like at that point?
Global domination. That's what it is. No, yeah. So people also ask me. I'm going to kind of also state this too. See, people ask me, "Oh, what's your exit plan?" It's like I don't have an exit plan. You know, I didn't want to go into this business knowing I was going to get out of it. It doesn't make any sense to go into business knowing you're going to get out of it. And so I enjoy the thrill of it. I enjoy the process of it. I enjoy just meeting people and talking to people and trying to solve problems. I do. That was kind of a key tenet for me of selling software. But it was really funny. It was my wife attended a women in franchise meeting down here locally put on by the Scottsdale Chamber. And the advice that their franchise person gave them, which is really true, and that's what I'm trying to strive for, is you shouldn't work in the business. You should work on the business. And I've been working in the business. And so now I need to work on the business. And I think the future of this is exceptionally bright. I just know all the different things we can do. And it can be somewhat, Stephen, overwhelming. It can be almost like too much. Like as I'm driving up to north parts of my territory, Jan and Mary, up in like New River, I'm like, there's so much up here. How do I get to it all? How do I get to it all? Because I don't want another Gatsby Glass like company that's figured out service, follow-up, better designs, all that stuff to come into the territory. Because right now it's really fragmented with really bad effort. And I want to run really fast at it because we have to get to those opportunities and really establish the brand. And so if I had a prediction in 3 to 5 years, we would be the premier brand of North Phoenix, Scottsdale area. That's, I've told this to other installers because they get people and friends in the glass business. I'm like, those mom and pops, I feel like Deion Sanders. I'm coming, right? And I ain't hard to find. So I'm not going to be hard to find. I like for our grand opening party, we're going to have probably 110 people here. And I'm hoping everybody wears black shirts because we're going to look like we're a 110 person company. And it's going to go all over social media. And I want everybody to be deathly afraid of Gatsby Glass because we are better than everybody else. So 2 to 5 years, domination.
Nice.
They're going to all have to go down to, I don't know, they have to go to Guadalupe or something. I don't know. That's a terrible part of town here. So.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? I got more time. All right, cool. If
I'll
you want to follow up with me,
ask, I guess, because nobody's asking, the social media that you're doing, that your daughter is doing,
yeah.
I understand marketing. I just had an exit of a business, but I don't know the franchising piece of this. This is like something brand new to me. But from my understanding, the franchise requires a certain spend on marketing. The social media that you're doing is on top of that, correct?
Well, I mean, that's what's good about that, right? Because that stuff's, it's not free, but it's kind of free. And
Time,
also,
I guess, yeah.
Part of what Gatsby will do is they'll actually establish corporate messaging for that, most of which my daughter gets rid of and puts our own stuff in. But they give us solutions to do that with. And so they'll actually push, the right dials for Facebook and Instagram to make sure that we're relevant there. And, we take advantage of that, but it's actually, the lowest cost per click of all the advertising campaigns that we're doing. I'm spending right now probably $10,000 a month in advertising.
Okay.
And I did that on purpose to overspend because when I'm moving into the thing, I didn't want it to make it quiet. I wanted to make sure I got into the best kind of ways to make a brand name. And I'm still looking at other things as well. I mean, there's realtor magazines out here. There's one called the Live is a big real estate company out here. They're establishing a Phoenix wide magazine for all live realtors, which is like a 1,200 or something. And I'm in their magazine for the year.
Nice.
And so it just things like that. And that was a cheap spend. It was like $5,000. It was worth it.
Is those leads going directly to you? Or are they going to call center? You have your own phone? Or is that going through another lead generating process?
Everybody that comes into here, we're tracking where the leads are coming from. So everybody's got different phone numbers. And by the way, if you have a chance, only get local numbers, right? People, I can't tell you how many times people said, I called you because you had a 480 number. That's our prefix, right? So try to only get local numbers. Try to stay away from 1-800 numbers because people think it's going to a call center, which it is. But when those leads come in, you've got a call center that actually go and call them, try to get them scheduled, get them on your calendar, and make meetings for you if they can. Sometimes they don't always agree to it. They'll sometimes, like somebody called me today that somebody wanted to speak kind of urgently, and so they put them through inside a conversation with them, but they try to get those meetings for you on the calendar because they're incented to do it, right? They get paid for every one of those meetings that are on your calendar.
Okay. I was just curious on the social media. Those are traffic driving to phone calls. That's what that is for. And you're doing your own media marketing, videos, posts, images as well. You're saying some stuff is coming from corporate, but you are in-house personalizing it for yourself.
Correct. Okay. What else?
All right, guys. I think we came to the conclusion of the validation call. Jeff, thank you so much for your time and expertise. We're so lucky to have you in the ecosystem.
I don't know if I'm an expert in anything. I just I tend to be a very highly caffeinated person more than anything else. Remember, caffeine's a food group.
And that will conclude the validation call today. Tomorrow we have Zach Butler, co-founder of Horsepower, at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Thanks,
Jeff.
We'll
see you.
Thanks,
Mary Jen, if you want to come up to the grand opening, contact me. I'll get you directions.
We will.
We'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.